Now when I was a kid, I never did shoot clay targets. Dad and I, now we hunted every weekend that we could. Dad wasn't working, and it wasn't as bad as you hear a lot of guys say, boy, my dad gave me 3 shells and I better go out and get. It wasn't that way. We could go out and hunt and shoot, but never had broke a clay target in my life up until 95, 96. And I had a masonry company for 13 years, and I was bricking a house one day, and the trim carpenters was in there trimming, and they had shot sporting clays and was talking to me through the windows, and telling me about it, and that's how I kind of got started. Went with them one day and shot, and really enjoyed it.
Kind of the same thing. I've hunted since an early age, and my family was big into hunting, and I really started shooting clay targets trying to get to be better at birds, really. And I started at about 8 years old hunting, but that's the way it all started for me. That's kind of the standard story, I guess. Typically, Bill and I, our season starts in February, and then we'll shoot to November, and then from November till the first of the year, it's all hunting, and then we'll hunt a large. I'll probably hunt 60, 70 days every year, and then if I'm at home, I'm in the woods almost every day. That's kind of my church. That's kind of the place I go to kind of take the stress off and stuff like that. So. That's always been just a big part of my life.
Yep,
mine too. Kind of standard procedure. It changes from year to year. I'm a duckaholic. I love the duck hunting, but right now probably I like bow hunting probably better than probably anything else.
I'm same. I really enjoy. Hunting anything. Not so much into the deer hunting. I've killed quite a few deer, but probably my favorites is waterfowl or quail hunting. I love to.
So you're not a stick flipper?
Not much. I did a little bit of bow hunting and enjoy it. It's a lot of fun, but I like that action. You can talk and the camaraderie with friends, and the duck hunting and the quail hunting kind of does that pretty well.
Now we actually fish some tournaments, like small tournaments. And through the summer, and stuff.
If we get a day.
He fishes a lot. I fish a little bit less, but so in the summer, if we have a day off, that's what we go do is just fish.
It's kind of the homemade thing, Like I said, I breast my ducks and kind of strip them up, soak them for a night in salt water, kind of draw some of the blood out, and then soak them in a Dale's seasoning of some kind, and like Wendell was saying also, roll them in bacon, cut them into smaller pieces. And
jalapeno, you gotta have jalapeno, some cheese.
In there, some cheese.
You mentioned jalapenos earlier, you didn't say anything.
Oh yeah, I love them too, yeah. And then throw them on a grill, and don't overcook them.
Right.
And they're like candy.
Sear them and fast.
Yep.
And
kind of burn that bacon.
Yeah,
oh,
that's right. That's awesome.
It don't get no better.
That's awesome. Same thing for me.
I think it's a lot of preference, maybe what you're used to shooting. I've shot a high rib for quite a few years, and to me, I feel like I've got a visual advantage, and kind of what I compare that to, and Wendell probably feels the same way over his gun anyway, but is all of us, when we point our finger. I don't ever feel like I'm looking down my gun, I'm looking over my gun, just like I do my finger to point. And like I said, the main thing to me is my vision. I feel like I see better around that gun.
I think, of course, I'm a flat rib guy, and for me that works. And I know the high rib is great, like on certain shots for me. If I shoot one like the teal, trap shots, things like that, you probably see the target maybe a little bit better there and stuff. But for me, I just like the flat rib. I like the rib being real close to my hand. And but having said that, I've never really shot a high rib long enough to really scientifically say, okay, this is a difference. This is why a lot of people go to a high rib gun. It's in stock fit. If they shoot a lower height at the heel, your head will automatically come up. So there's a lot of shooters buy parallel combs and that doesn't have a Monte Carlo. Mm-hmm. Well, then the next place they're here as they're trying to shoot. And so maybe, and his gun's set up properly, obviously, but a lot of shooters I see, they'll have too much height in the heel, and then they roll their head forward trying to flatten it out,
Yep.
and that's why their head is down. Well, if the height at the heel was correct, their head would be up.
Yep. I'm not really worried about the cleaning part, you know. For me,
Yeah, 'cause you don't ever clean it anyway.
I know it. That's what is probably the biggest thing. You know, people talk about, well, it's less muzzle jump. Well, that it is, and that kind of stuff. But for me, it's recovery. You know, going from one target to the next. I think it makes the transition a whole lot smoother.
Same thing for me. Having said that, though, if it matters that much, you're probably shooting a little too fast anyway.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, so I could take it or not. So in other words, the truth is, on my deal, is years ago I got paid to have that done, and so I did. And I noticed on doubles trap, stations that have that style of shooting, absolutely is a little bit better. But for your bread and butter, I don't know that it makes.
Put 2 zeros in and let them eat. No, to me, like I said, I've got a lot of confidence in my chokes. You know, now, if everything is pretty relative as far as distance, you know, in and out, I will put in, Wendell can tell you, a pair of 15s and shoot them all day. But now if they go to crowd me, and this, I've told a lot of people this, you know, you can't second guess yourself when you're changing chokes. Whatever I put in my gun, I've got 100% confidence it's going to do what I need it to do. But I think, you know, my shooting experience, I think when you get to them close, tight targets, you know, I think that little more open choke helps you.
Can't hurt anything.
Can't hurt anything. Yep.
Wendell, what would your advice be?
I just load a spreader.
Okay.
And so it's kind of the same thing. And anything that's really close, like a rabbit or something like that. And I see it, if it's closer, it's easier to hit if you have time. And I see the disadvantage in a choke is not necessarily the yardage like everybody thinks of it is, but the time you have to shoot in. If you give me time, I can accurately point. If you rush me, I'm liable to bobble. And that's where it really comes in at. I mean,
Yep.
Don't you think?
Sure. Each individual that you encounter, you know, their problems may be a touch different. So, you know, you've got to try to hit on something to try to help those people. Yeah, it can be difficult, and Wendell can tell you, you know, I've done it, and he's probably done it. You know, people saying, "Boy, I'm having trouble seeing that target," so maybe you have them change lens color, go to clear. You know, it's just a kind of hit and miss thing to try to help them with that vision.
Now you're still shooting clear lenses all
Yes.
the time, right?
Yes.
And Wendell, you don't change a lot, do you? What's your favorite color?
Orange.
He likes welding glasses. You know, he does it.
But, you know, going back to the vision thing, really and truly, added tension affects your vision.
Oh, totally.
The way you insert the gun to the target affects your vision.
Yep.
The speed you move the gun at affects your vision.
Yep.
So there's a lot of influences other than just lens color.
Yep.
And probably the most important doesn't have anything to do with the glasses as far as keeping your eye on the target. Okay.
Yep.
It might help with acuity, but acuity doesn't make your eye stay on the target.
No.
Most people think that part of the game is their pre-shot routine, and that is not the mental game.
No.
That's just that's kind of the same thing that you were just talking about. To where you do the same thing every time before the call. That is not a mental game.
No.
Your mental game is what you think about when you're not on the course.
That's exactly right.
And that happens while you're driving your truck and you're at the office and you're at home. And that is the period of time that needs to be very healthy.
That's right.
And most shooters is not. And so that is, everybody thinks that, well, okay, if I see this shot twice in my mind and then I tell myself to see it, that's the mental game. That's not.
No.
And so that's I think that's where most people fall off track is they think that the pre-shot is is it, and it's not.
It's not. That's exactly right.
Hey.
Wendell said, you know, I probably work on, well, definitely do, work on my mental game
More than you practice.
way more than I practice. And that happens, like he said, as we're driving down the road, or we're sitting at home and mentally preparing yourself for situations and how to handle the pressure of what's, you know, just those kind of things, you know, that get you ready for that situation when you get there. You know, if you wait till you get to the chute, you're too late,
Yeah.
you know.
I think it's essential.
Oh.
And I think staying tension-free,
Exactly.
both psychologically and physically,
Yep.
is huge.
Yes. The more
Okay.
mentally relaxed, what he was saying there, that you can be, that goes to your physical part. You know, the more physically relaxed you can be.
I can't tell you how many tournaments I've thrown away over dropping a shot and then elevating the whole scenario into a big mess,
Yep.
and to walk in Sunday afternoon and find out that you lost by one.
Yeah.
And you just literally handed them away. And I've done that a lot, and I paid the price a lot from that. And so staying tension-free and staying positive. And I mean physically staying tension-free. If you notice Bill shoot, there's no tension in him. And most poor shooters are very tight, knees are flexed, heads down, they're fighting the gun and chasing stuff, and it's just one big stressful
Right.
event.
You know, shooting, you know, a lot of guys say, well, if I go out here and I shoot, you know, 1,000 rounds a week or whatever, that's going to help. And it does to an extent, but I think what most people, of the shooters don't do that I think we try to do very well is not just a mental routine, a good mechanics routine. You know, when you step in a box, you know, you've got a few things there that you need to do and be very consistent at over and over and over. And I think that really helps you become consistent, you know. Right off the bat, the first one that comes to my mind is David Radulovich.
Yeah.
David is very, for his age, very mature and very mechanically sound. You know, he's great.
He's probably got the best overall package of,
Yeah.
of the young shooters coming up.
No, there's a lot of great ones out there. You know, there really is, and it's hard to name them all. But David's kind of the first one that come to mind. Well, we were in Illinois at Wren Lake, and I was setting a tournament. I can't remember what it was, Illinois State or something, and we're changing the course that night. And Dennis Sneed. He's at Sparta now. We had these skid towers that are probably 15, 18 foot tall, all metal, all steel, building on top's all steel. Well, I'm standing on the only piece of wood in the house, you know, and I got a little window this big to kind of, I'm looking out, and he's pulling me with the tractor. And I'm in the house to try to make sure we're going to make it under the power lines, you know, and we're not. So my bright idea, I stopped Dennis and I tell him, get me about a 6-foot 2x4. I'll hold the power line up and we can go underneath. But I told him, I said, now don't go far, 2-3 feet at a time, stop, and I'm gonna have to drop it, this thing's heavy. And he didn't understand that. I get it up, he takes off and don't stop, and I drop the wire and it arcs and welds into the roof of the thing, blows sparks in my hair. I got another friend, Gary Williams, is with us, and he takes off like a track star, stops and thinks, what am I running for? Said, Bill's the one frying up there. So he comes back. But to make a long story short, we get the tractor behind the tower and get it jerked out from under the wire, and we all live. But some of the things we do is silly after we're done.
The first time I met this guy, and I've known him about 17 years, I guess, and of course we're from the same area, and we really started nearly in the same month, just about, and so we've come up through the ranks together. First time I met him, he was shooting a Benelli, okay, all right, that he had sanded the finish off the barrel so it would look like it was stainless, okay, all right, and his shooting bag was a
Mason bag.
a mason bag with a dang rope tied around it. That's what he carried his shells in. You're talking about a hillbilly. and then the best part is his trigger group was held in by a 16 nail.
1650 nail.
Yeah, the pin in the group had fallen out, and so he stuck a nail in it.
Well, given that background, where was the duct tape?
Well, my point is if you were going to ask about technical advice on equipment, this is not the guy.
I'll never forget it. Wendell was there one time, and when I was shooting that gun, we was at
The Benelli?
yeah,
Yeah.
and we were shooting a make or break, and there was a friend of ours that was out of Chicago, Illinois. You remember Mark Watts?
Yeah.
Well, Mark had bought a real expensive gun. He bought another expensive gun at the shoot, and I'm going down and I shoot the make or break and shoot like a 60 or 61, you know. And I sat down on the bench, and I've got my gun laying across my lap, and I didn't know Mark at the time. And everybody was sitting back there watching him. He's tippy toes up behind me, and he's peeking over my shoulder to see what kind of shotgun that was. We laughed about that for hours.
I taught him everything he knows.
It's working.
You taught him both things he knows?
That's right. All two of them.